Hey everybody, this is Olan Hodges, and I just wanted to start off that this has been one heck of a ride for this class. This has been a lot of information to learn, a lot of things that have been challenging, but I just wanted to give you guys my journal report over how I feel I've changed, what things I've learned, and things I need to improve upon as I continue on in the workforce. So I'm going to go ahead and start with a presentation real quick. So in the beginning, when I first came into this class, my really first experience with Java was only in the CIT360 class. Java was a kind of a hated word at work. Anytime we knew that something was running Java, we knew it was going to be painful. So when I learned that that was one of the main languages that we would be studying in our coursework, I kind of cringed. But as I started going through the class and learning what Java is all about, the ideas of Java really kind of kicked into basically my understanding and my work at at my job right now. So this semester I started off with very little coding experience. I mean, most of us have gone through the CIT360 class, and we know exactly what we do in that class, where we create a role-playing game of some type, and it's text-based. It's learning very small things such as the MVC pattern, how to take input, how to write to a file, how to do logs, stuff like that. Very, what I would say, and it definitely meant for that class, but it's a beginner level, little GUI experience, which is what most people need to learn how to program in nowadays. Learning how to use network communication between your application and a server, that's key nowadays with all the cloud-based technologies and the on-the-go personality that we all have today. Network communication is critical for that. Not only on top of that, but you also need database experience so that you can store data in a fashion and that's scalable. Also, many of our devices, including the phones that are in our pockets to even our laptops that we carry day in, day out, or the tablets that we carry, those also are multi-threaded, multi-core devices. Having an application that's stuck on a single core is inefficient and, again, very streamlined, or a single line of work that can be done. So learning how to do concurrency was something I didn't know. I'd always thought about it. I didn't really need to know about it when my previous programming experiences with PHP and using a web-based application. It just handled that for me. So, and then application design. This was my really starting from the ground up, taking the experiences that I learned from my CIT360-02 class as well as my CIT380 class, and putting that along with my CIT360 experiences and the topics we learned this semester to build an application that functioned both on a client level, a server level, and using all the topics that we had. Programming as a team, the largest team I had worked with so far was basically a group of 3 or 4 of us in the CIT380 class. So dealing with a team that was 8 to 9 people when we first started was definitely a challenge. I work daily with roughly 12 to 15 people globally. Really, there's only 12 that I work with on a daily basis because they sit right around me. But I work with people all across the globe doing network infrastructure and design. So, but those were very ad hoc meetings. They were as needed. It wasn't we did have some Scrum-based meetings for projects that we've had internally, but nothing in the sense of project work where you had a long set of Scrum meetings and a backlog list that you had to work through. So getting that experience with a team that's all remote using GitHub was definitely new to me and a learning challenge. So as I went along, a lot of the time I felt inadequate. I felt that I didn't understand the topics like I needed to. I also felt that it just wasn't going as quickly as I wanted. I'm definitely a character that wants to get things done as quickly as possible, but yet kind of at a perfectionist level. So going through each week, I felt that it was we were progressing slow, but that also the topics we were having to learn were being rushed. I felt that learning 3 topics every 2 weeks and trying to understand it at a level that we could be proficient at it was a daunting task. So it was kind of a dual-sided coin there, that I felt like things were going slow, but I also felt that things were going too fast in certain portions. But as we continued to go and continued to improve ourselves as a group and as programmers or as students, this story began to change. So a lot of the topics, like I was saying, I didn't feel like I could learn them proficiently. Hibernate was one of those examples where there are just so many things that you can do with it. Working with an object-oriented or a relational database of any type is something that you need to take time to understand it, how to work with it, how to update dependencies in other tables. It's not exactly an easy task that you can just learn within a couple weeks. So I felt that was one of the largest tasks in learning. That and concurrency was also a part of that. Feel that our team really came together towards the early portion of our project. We all really helped each other out. We did a lot of different broadcasts or recordings based on topics that we had handed out during the week. So having that team effort that helped develop all of us together as a team felt really good, helped me stay motivated, and kept me going along. So on reflecting on this class in general and looking through my journal entries and just thinking about the learning process that we had, there were a few things that I felt that I could have improved upon. Some of this had to do with more team communication. Having 1 meeting a week and no follow-up emails or any type of general chat session with some of my team members regarding, I felt we kind of went stagnant towards the end of the project. Mostly, I would imagine that's just because we all felt that we were kind of overwhelmed with getting the actual application built out. And that's where it leads to my next point on the detailed planning and scheduling. We had planned at the beginning of the project at a very high level. I mean, literally all it said was that we would get the client-side application done, we'd get the server-side application done, and also do our test units in that period of time. So definitely having a little bit more detailed planning as to, okay, what does that entail? What does it take to build the client portion of this application? And getting that scheduled out would be another key thing that I would change in review. Also, really hard because there are so many topics and so many things to do, but understanding the topics first is key. Knowing how to implement something. I think that's actually kind of why the planning didn't span out the way we expected it to, because we didn't feel we understood the topics in great detail and how that would end up being executed. So we felt that we would end up fleshing out those plans later on, but usually it ended up the day of our meeting and we're still kind of scratching our heads as to what needs to go first. So again, more group involvement, getting study sessions where we get some people to come together and they kind of share their ideas about a topic, and it doesn't have to be coordinated. It just has to be reaching out to somebody. I mean, I do this all day at work. I reach out to team members and I ask them, what did you do? What happened on this project? I remember you had this one issue. How did you overcome it? Those kind of things. And finally, just keep moving. There were parts where I get stuck in the nitty-gritty of Hibernate and would end up spending a good 7-8 hours on a Saturday reviewing it and getting frustrated. And then finally just having to shut the laptop down and walk out just because I didn't feel I understood it. But I think that ate up too much of my time. What I could have done is try to move on to the next topic that I needed to study, work on it, try to understand what I could from it until I hit another wall there, and then just list those topics down that I needed to research later that I could read on my iPad when I'm downstairs with the boys or whatever. Just keep moving, keep my mind going on different things, and it kind of having that time to rest from a specific topic and then coming back at it allows you to come at it with renewed strength. And actually, a lot of times I'd come back understanding the topic. I would stand back and finally understand, oh, well, that's what they meant by this. So the end results. I know this wasn't one of the topics in the class, but I have really learned, and I love how easy Swing is, the UI portion of Java. And granted, this wasn't, I think a lot of the applications needed to be based off of an Android platform or a mobile platform. Not having a device that I could test that with. I have an iPhone and I'm stuck on iPads and stuff like that. So not having the actual opportunity to test it on a device kind of left me with wanting to stay with a thick client on a laptop. So, but that was a great thing to learn. Also, Hibernate, again, that is key. If you don't understand how to interact with a database in any programming language you are learning, you're really at a loss for how to build applications that are specific to today's modern living. Same with the client server sockets, the multi-threading, understanding how to design an application that's scalable, resilient, and provides the detail and the user experience that people are looking for is key. Now the serialization, it was good to learn, and it helped in the communication between the client and the server. But that's one topic that I feel that I could learn more as to really used for. I know I've read up on JSON serialization and how that's a way that you can have bidirectional communication between a client and a web server, and so you can have dynamic web pages without having to refresh. The interesting things to learn about it, but not getting a chance to use it was kind of a downer. Authentication authorization, I know that's not a part of this class, but that I think a lot of us ended up having to build that into our applications. Almost everything nowadays needs to be authenticated because it shouldn't be open to everybody, especially to get access to your data only and not everybody else's. So, and the testing and documentation, especially the team skills development, learning those soft skills and being able to work with a team is critical today, and especially for your job. Knowing how to communicate, how to plan around other people's schedules, the politically correct way to talk with people so that you can work together towards a common end and not end up getting a lot of people irritated and wanting to quit the class and stuff like that. I deal with that day in and day out with our projects at work, where you have to handle certain situations appropriately so that you keep the team motivated and wanting to move forward with the project. So I wanted to end this off with a little demo of the application. I know this is already running a little long for the sharing video, but so I've already got the application running here. It's logging to a log file so that I can review those logs later. But let's go ahead and kick off the application. My application was based on youth service, whether it be a granted service in the sense that they could either take it for pay, because I know a lot of our young men and young women need money to pay for either girls camp or scout camp or anything of the sort, or they do need service hours. So there's the service option in here that these youth could use to take on these jobs. So they can either decide to take the pay or to do it with for service. So the first thing, granted, I needed to figure out how to pull out all of the XML portion of this, but this is the message of the day. It comes from the feeds.lds.org. That's the inspirational message of the day. So it kind of used the HTTP URL connection to go grab that from an RSS feed. So I can go ahead and close that. So we've got 3 different jobs here. We can open this one up and see that, okay, someone needs to do a mowing and edging job. It's going to pay $45. This is one thing that I still needed to get, but actually display the user's name instead of the ID for them. But it also has an estimated hours. Also, whenever a youth would pick it up, it'd have their name there. Status to volunteered. So we can go ahead and pick that up, save that job, and refresh. Now it shows volunteered. Then let's look at members. So these are all the members within the database. Just random people from the ward that I added in here, as well as just other people in my life. So all of them have different IDs, different emails, different addresses, and so forth and so on. You could add a new member. So pick somebody that I can think of. Let's see, he lives on 7890 TCP Drive. He lives in Silicon Valley, California, no 210, blah, blah, blah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7890. He's a member, and let's set his password to test and test. So we'll save that. So it's saved in there. Now, granted, I wanted to figure out how it could automatically refresh every time I saved this, but couldn't really figure that out. But there he is. He's listed in there, has all his stuff. So this application was really fun to learn how to build and how to work into being creative and taking the topics that we had to make something for what I felt was useful. Again, learning how to do, this was my first GUI-based application that wasn't in some kind of web-based PHP, HTML, CSS type of environment. So I got a real kick out of this. I enjoyed the people I worked with. I need to improve from here on out and things that I could do to move forward. But I really appreciated all of the help that everyone gave me. It was a great experience, and I hope to see you guys in the future.